7:48, happy Columbus Day. Yeah, we're going to say Columbus Day here on KCMO Talk Radio. As a proud half Italian-American, we will celebrate Columbus and Columbus Day, no matter what the wokesters want to tell you here in Kansas City or anywhere else for that matter. So happy freaking Columbus Day, you filthy animal. Welcome in on a Monday morning. Mark Alford is coming up at 10 o'clock. He's on the Armed Services Committee, so have a good conversation with him in 15 minutes. It is that time of the week.
It's time for the good, the bad, and the ugly on KCMO Talk Radio.
Well, how about the good? Can we start there? Can we start with the good here for a second and just give credit where it's due? I know Mark was all over this over the weekend. The Kansas Jayhawks football team, 51-22. You know, Mizzou lost and K-State lost on Friday night to Oklahoma State. What a stinker that was for the Wildcats, by the way. But KU football's 5-1. What the? I mean, geez. And by the way, no one's really talking about it. It's almost like we're just kind of like, oh, okay. All right. Well, they had a good year last year. And here's Lance Leipold in year 3 for the Kansas Jayhawks. He's got this team 5-1. They just blew out UCF on Saturday by 30 points. Goodness gracious.
I'm a Mizzou fan, and I would agree with you. I think KU deserves more credit than they're receiving.
I think so as well. Yeah. Mark, I know you were fired up over the weekend watching that game.
Jalen Daniels, if he wasn't hurt, I mean, they could have beat Texas, I think.
Yeah, maybe.
They were in. If they didn't convert any third downs in that game, they just needed to convert a few third downs, and they would have been right in it in the fourth quarter.
Well, if Kansas keeps playing like they played, and you're right, they got to get Daniels back. I mean, Jason Bean's a nice player. It helps when you rush for 399 yards. You don't really need him to beat you through the air. They've got to get Daniels back, but this team can compete. At least get to Arlington for a Big 12 championship game. The Big 12 looks like it's Oklahoma who just beat Texas, and then, I still think Texas is pretty darn good. But after that, I mean, who's the third best team in the Big 12 right now? Why not Kansas?
And they get K-State and Oklahoma at home, I think.
They do. So you're right.
Nice.
They do get. They got Oklahoma at the end of the month. That game is in Lawrence, and then they go to Iowa State, and then home to Texas Tech and K-State. That Sunflower Showdown is going to be spicy, baby. But I'll tell you what, based on what I'm seeing from these two teams right now, Kansas is the better team. I'm not just saying that because K-State lost to Oklahoma State on Friday. I mean, Kansas has it going in the trenches, man. That O-line, that D-line is darn good. Lance Leipold's done a heck of a job. Now you just got to hope he doesn't go to Michigan State. I don't think he will, but until Michigan State gets its new coach, I'd be a little concerned about that. Just a little.
I have been reading those rumors, and I don't like that.
I don't either, man. And now they go to Stillwater on Saturday to play the Cowboys. So that's going to be a fun game. And then it's the bye week before OU at home. So there's the good. Congratulations, Jayhawks, coming out of the weekend. The bad, St. Louis. I saw this. I'm like, what? This can't be real. No, it is real. There are aldermans in St. Louis, essentially what we would call city council members here in Kansas City, who are proposing an unhoused Bill of Rights. What does that mean? An unhoused Bill of Rights would allow homeless individuals to stay in their encampments for up to 30 days. They would need a 30-day notice to move. That's right. And it would change the public urination laws. And not just change them for everybody, but basically it would allow you to defecate or pee wherever you please, public urination, anything like that. And it would be acceptable if you are considered to be in transitional housing, i.e. homeless. But, of course, if I go to St. Louis this weekend and I get drunk and I pee on the side of the arch, I'll get arrested and be labeled a sex offender. But if I had done that and I was homeless under this proposed unhoused Bill of Rights in St. Louis, it would be readily acceptable. It would be, it's okay. You're in transitional housing. Don't worry about it. That's what's being proposed in St. Louis. Now, the mayor doesn't sound like she's on board with it over there, Tashara Jones. She is far to the left of our mayor, Quinton Lucas. She actually kicked homeless people off of City Hall grass in the last couple of weeks because they were pooping all over the place. So I'm not so sure she's going to be on board with this. She admitted that it's not safe, it's not healthy, and it's not a good look for the city of St. Louis to have any of this going on, and it's not. But to show you the kind of people that they've got on their city council over there in St. Louis, the fact that anybody would put their name on a proposal like this tells you how insane this stuff has gotten. Here's one of the other parts of this bill. The bill also requires the city to provide safe encamping areas for those not ready to be in a shelter, and it bans the city from shutting down encampments unless there is bed space. Those not ready to be in a shelter? What does that mean? You mean those that don't want to go to a shelter? So basically, it is just anarchy. There are no rules. There is no structure. It is anarchy. That's what this bill is about. It is about anarchy in St. Louis. Try to get one of my friends over there in St. Louis to talk about this tomorrow on the show, because this seems even crazy by their standards. It's absolutely nuts. But such is the world that we find ourselves in right now. It's also not homeless people. We used to be vagrants, then it was homeless, now it's the unhoused. What's the implication of that transition, by the way? Vagrants, homeless, unhoused. It is no longer your fault for your situation. Right? That's the implication of the phrase unhoused. Nothing you have done is your own fault. You just happen to be unhoused. It is part of the victim mentality and how we are taking our language and applying it to victim mentality in 2023. There's the bad from the weekend. The ugly, well, unfortunately, it is the top story of the day. And that is the fact that, by the way, 9 Americans are among the nearly 1,000 murdered in Israel over the weekend. And the fact that I haven't played this yet, but here is Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor, September 29th, less than 2 weeks ago, saying this at a foreign policy forum about the Middle East.
The Middle East region is quieter today than it has been in 2 decades. Now, challenges remain. Iran's nuclear weapons program, the tensions between Israelis and Palestinians. But the amount of time that I have to spend on crisis and conflict in the Middle East today compared to any of my predecessors going back to 9/11 is significantly reduced.
Wow. Boy, that doesn't look so good 2 weeks later, huh? Jake Sullivan, National Security Advisor for this administration, bragging about their foreign policy in the Middle East, which everybody knew was just god-awful. I mean, everybody understood that from the day these guys withdrew from Afghanistan and the way they did, leaving billions of dollars in weaponry behind, leaving women and children, American citizens, that was the spark to the chaos that we've seen around the world, including in the Middle East. And these guys are bragging about their foreign policy as of 2 weeks ago. Things are real quiet. They promoted open borders. They have promoted global worldwide chaos. And I'll tell you what, I mean, with the millions of issues, millions of people we've had cross the border over the last 2.5 years, I don't feel good. I'm just going to say it, and I'll ask Mark Alford about it. The national security in this country right now, I don't feel good about it one bit. And I fear for what's to come based on the domestic policy of the people in charge.